Welcome to Champion Your Culture, the podcast, a weekly live show where we explore the power of culture and leadership in business. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers, and we go live every week to learn from each other and hear from other experts about how to effectively champion our team members and ourselves. So join us live every Wednesday on our social networks or subscribe. You can listen to Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Now, let's champion your culture.
Oh, what's up? What's up? Look who's in the studio today.
I'm in the house.
You are in the house.
I'm in the house. It is good to be in the house. As always, man. It's always great to be here with you. Spending a week, and so getting to get all the vibes, the natural instinct live in person.
Yeah.
The aroma of Ryan McCarty.
You don't want that in the morning. Well, we want to welcome everyone that's out there listening from all over the world. Yeah. Some of you are in your car. Some of you are watching at work. We appreciate you guys showing up today, as always.
Yeah, it's great to have everybody here. As always, we want to thank everybody for joining us. Whatever platform you're on right now, if you would, like, share, subscribe if you're watching and listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Google Playlist, wherever you may be listening to this. But if you're listening to us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you are, share the page. We got some, this is important discussion we're going to have today that's very dear to both our hearts. This whole month as we raise awareness and bring awareness to mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we understand the importance of it. We both have, seen mental health in person
and experienced it personally.
Personally as well. And so it's something important to us that we do want to share, our insight, our experiences, and how that affects not just ourselves, but also in the workplace. They always say that the life goes on, but what that looks like. So we're going to be talking about that. And we got some other exciting things as well that we're going to share as well. So as always, we like to have a good time. Bring a little bit of joy and inspiration to your day. We want to shout out Culture of Good again for sponsoring Champion Your Culture, the podcast. And everybody out there, we appreciate you. So don't forget, chime in. Talk to us. If something that is said or done can relate to you, you got comments or you got questions. We enjoy taking those questions, especially live here with you every Wednesday.
Yeah, that's something that we talked about a few weeks ago, isn't it? That at some point we would start taking calls, but we need some more help because going live is a whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have to have a designated person that handles that. So if you're looking to come up north or Nashville, Tennessee,
join our crew, for sure.
Maybe it's like once a month. Maybe it's once a month at the top of the hour or something like that. We'll start taking some of those calls. For sure, that'd be fun.
Yeah, so comment. Let us know that you're out there though in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer any questions. Talk about some of those subjects that we'll be talking about throughout this entire month. As George said, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a really good opportunity for us to look at how that is incorporated in each one of our workplaces, right? When it comes to our culture and how we're caring for those at work, at our company, we have to really come to terms with the fact that our employees are people outside of work and they're people inside of work, and to rehumanize the work experience, right? Mental health would not have been a subject I would imagine talked about in the workplace as being part of the responsibility of the employer 30, 40, 50 years ago. It wasn't even on the table as much as it is now, if any. And I think now companies are having to adjust how we think about business, because why does it matter that businesses care about this? Why isn't this someone else's issue? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we pushing this off to companies because the government's not doing enough? Or why is it a company's responsibility to care about the mental health of its employees?
I think a lot of that, man, it can go even further, right? Where does it begin? Where does it start? Does it start at home, right? Is it the responsibility of parents to acknowledge and to educate what it is, and the importance of it. I think a lot of it really ties into relationships. At the end of the day, we always say that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so what does that look like? It's not just leadership within the workplace. It's just leadership in general, right? So wherever you may be, your work, at home, those relationships are so vital. And Ryan, I just think that the relationships that you have, there has to be a sense of trust, caring, and vulnerability, right? A lot of times we say we didn't know that person struggled, like it's a hidden secret, because that is a vulnerable place, right? We, for many, for myself, the perception is to be strong, right? And so I can't show vulnerability of weakness and or mental health, and that was always the stigma. And so now today we say that how is this now in the last 3 to 5 years become something that's really on the forefront. It's on the spotlight, it's on the table, and it's become something that's been more aware of. People are, where did it come from? And I think we as people have finally stopped hiding behind the false words that we grew up on, right? The false approach
I'll be all right.
That I'll be all right. That men don't cry, right? Because you got to be tough. Those you're being too sensitive, right? Those are things that personally I've heard, right? And I've seen spoken of. Not just adults. This stuff starts as a child. We are groomed at times to be a certain way.
Well, I think that too is like we're groomed to disassociate with ourselves. Like from the very beginning, we're taught to kind of disconnect from our feeling center. Our feeling center is our soul, right? That's where we feel the deepest, most authentic parts of who we are. Deep, like we talk about, like the core of the apple. That's where the life is, right? The core of who you are. And it includes not only your physical health, but it includes your mental health, your emotional health, all of who you are. When you bring your soul to work, you bring all of who you are. And a lot of times at work, we have to, right, exactly what you said, put the mask on, live under live just above the surface. Right. Once you get below the surface of a person, that's where the vulnerability and the trust, and back to your point on the leadership component of it, if we don't have leaders that are open around this and are aware that this is a real issue that needs to be and can be addressed within the workplace, and done so in a very supportive way to those that work for us, it really requires those leaders to step up and take the initiative on this, because this shouldn't be a frontline workforce initiative. This should be a leadership initiative. Like leaders within business need to be talking about mental health more and more. One of the things that I think, and we can get very deep into this over the next 4 weeks, we're going to dive into, like, how do we raise awareness within our company? How do we spark that conversation? What are the things that we need to be looking for within our team members to identify, is that person going through, right, their body language, the way that they're showing up to work? It may not be that they're disengaged with work. You know what I'm saying? It may not be that they don't, it could be that it's not that they hate their job or don't want to work. It could be that their life life at home is falling into their work life and impacting, right? So there's a lot of realities around that. And I think one of the things that we start with is starting to begin to ask the question, how are you doing? And then we pause to get a real answer. And as leaders, if we're not getting real answers from our team, it's because we've not given them real answers. The more real you are and vulnerable you are, and the more trust you have for your team, guess what happens? It's reciprocated.
Real recognize real. Is that the
real recognize real?
I think it's that vulnerability, Ryan. It goes back to me being able to know for 2 reasons. One, that I can be me and you still see me. with the potential of me doing what I'm called to do
within your mess.
Yeah, within my mess, that I'm still able.
Well, then we have to assume everybody is a mess,
right?
Because we have mess in our lives, and we have things.
We all got a baggage, right? We all got something that we're carrying in. If you're perfect out there, stay away from me. I will quickly taint you. There's no perfection, right? There's just no perfection. There's always something that's going to go on. And so, like, let me be me within that mess. I want to be able to know that I can trust you. And then they also is that, where is it going to go?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is this going to go? Is it going to stay with you? That confidentiality is huge when you're being vulnerable. And so, like, see me for me, but also take what I'm giving you and cherish it. Right. Yeah. Because those who struggle with it a lot don't talk about it much.
Yeah.
Right. Because mental health sometimes look like a smile.
Yeah, and you get really good at the disassociation, right? So you're able to put on the face.
Yeah.
And there are moments, and there certainly are moments throughout the day where we do have to put on the face, and we have to, like, show up even when it's really difficult. Yeah. But when we need help, and when our team needs help, we need to be able to have space to ask for it. We need to be able to have space to be honest. We need to be able to have that relationship, that connection with someone that's what you said. I'm not going to be punished.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality of it, right? And I think if we have leadership that doesn't believe that mental health should be a priority in terms of the workplace focus, then what we have is a culture that is a culture of disassociation. It's a culture of, when you come to work, you check your feelings at the door, or you check what's going on at work, at home, at the door, and you come and you perform.
Yeah.
And what we know is that if you're dealing with stress, depression, and burnout, the idea of performing, or the idea of being another cog in the wheel, or just going through the motions of work, adds to that, right? So not only in the workplace can we not be aware of it, we can actually contribute toward worsening mental health by not recognizing that we have team members that need that kind of support. And it's like anything else. If work becomes an additional weight, an additional mental health issue because of the level of stress and depression, or, whatever's happening. I mean, we know already that 1 in 5 adults in the US, almost 1 in 5, have mental illness.
Yeah.
And most of them are not getting any form of treatment or any type of help for that. And 71% of adults have at least one symptom of stress. I mean, we know that stress is an issue.
Right.
Workplace stress is an issue. Specifically, 120,000 people annually in the US die from work-related stress.
Yeah.
However, that resulted in death. It had stress components involved in it that led to, and that stress was also coming from workplace, right? So workplace mental health isn't something that's just something like a topic we need to talk about. It's an everyday reality. I like to always say that all of us are in the business of well-being. All of us are in the business of mental health.
Right.
You may not be a mental health professional, but if you're in business, you kind of are. It's not that you're an expert in it, but you're dealing with mental health on a daily basis if you're leading people.
Yeah. And if you're leading people, especially in the workplace, and as you talked about, is it the responsibility of the work to do this? And I will answer it this way: the well-being of your employees is your business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because unhealthy employees,
it's an unhealthy culture. It's an unhealthy business.
It's a domino effect. There's little to none when it comes to growth and effectiveness of any aspect. Your business is not going to be effective. Your customers are not going to be taken care of, right?
Right.
Because they're only going to be able to give to an extent. Like, at some point, that energy, that smile that they put on, that work that they do, there's an end to that, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be an end to that. And whether that's the end that says, you know what, I'm leaving, I can't do this anymore, and I give up on this company, I give up on the situation. I just don't have it in me. Or they leave a position that has nothing to do with people.
Yeah.
Right? They run from what they're called to do, their purpose, their passion, because the well-being of themselves is not taken care of. And so when it comes to well-being, mental health, those things, it is your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to know, like I said, you don't have to be a mental health professional to raise awareness to this within the workplace. You know, this is a unique opportunity within this month because it's highlighted in the month of May to be able to have this conversation.
Yeah.
No better time, if there was ever a time, to be able to say within a leadership group, within a boardroom, within an executive team, planning committee, whatever it is, to be able to raise the conversation, right? When we think about the volume around what is being talked about in the workplace, we need to turn the volume up around the realities around mental health. Not only does it impact the production of your team, which in turn impacts the business, we need to care about the mental health of our employees because we care about the mental health of our employees.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we understand that if our team members are struggling with depression, they're not going to show up and perform at the best level that they could perform at. I would imagine we get that. All of us have had moments in our life or seasons, or maybe all of our life. You know, some of us have childhood trauma. And some of us have had people in and out of our life so many times, and dealing with abandonment issues and things, and it's difficult for us to trust. Right. That we carry that throughout our life, and to give people opportunity to show up at work and know that it's a place that cares about them and cares for them. So that's the idea, is not just caring about people, but caring for them, like taking that extra step and saying, like, what are we not only talking about as a business, because it starts with talking. We have to raise awareness, turn the volume up, have conversations, be willing to ask the difficult questions. How do we show up for our employees? What are we doing? What do we offer? What programming do we have in place in order to support our team members that need to reach out, whether to a leader face to face or anonymously? Because some people aren't going to go to their leader, no matter how much that leader is vulnerable. There's not going, you know, it's because there could be so much hurt, you know, that it's going to require time, you know, and that we have to understand the complexities around why people are struggling, why there's an increase in stress. We know that during the pandemic, a lot of mental health illness and issues were exacerbated and elevated to levels that we had never seen before. And I think the after effect and the realities that came out of that, we haven't really grasped what type of outcomes happened because of the pandemic, and then just returning back to work, you know. And then you know, conversations just kind of, it's like the news. Like, you remember, like, after the pandemic, all we could talk about was remote work. I haven't heard somebody talk about remote work, and we don't even know what's happening. Whether I don't know.
I mean, it's still a thing, but it's not there at the forefront. It's everything. We can go about this, and we've talked a little bit about it, but there's, we live in a state of mind of hot topics. Right. We live by what's hot, what the media at times, and social media, not just, you know, the media on TV, but just all these different avenues of news that comes to us, and we move by that. We're adjusting to those things, right? DEI was a huge thing. During the 2020 COVID, you know, with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, so on and so forth. But now it's kind of, the programs have gone out. They ran their programs. Now I'll say this: there are some companies that, and I just literally saw it out here on our table in our headquarters here at Round Room with TCC and Wireless Zone. They have a sheet of 10 to 12 different groups, QR code, where you can be a part of it, that's filled with diversity. It's for everybody, whether it's faith-based, not faith-based, whether it's, you know, dealing with certain issues that's on this topic, mental health things, right? And so there are companies that it's not a program. Here, one thing that I really love, Scott Moorhead and the rest of the team here in Round Room, is that it's a strategy. It's part of the business. It's part of who we are and what we do. When we say TCC Cares, it's not just some brand marketing thing. It's reality. When you walk around the hallways, people truly care. And so when you start to talk about those things, and we talk about bringing awareness, and what does that look like? I think it starts with education, because not everybody know that there was a point in time where I didn't know what I was dealing with, right? I didn't know what it was, because it wasn't something that was brought up and I was educated on. And so when you talk about bringing awareness, and I know there's a question out there, Amy asked a question about what are some ways to help managers recognize that they have somebody on their team that needs that type of support. Just because you have a conversation doesn't mean that the door is going to open. It takes relationship. And so I think it starts with really education, educating not just the person you feel may be dealing with it, but you got to educate your company. It's got to be a thing that we as a company, we're embracing. We want to learn more about what this is, right? We want to know that knowledge and really help encourage that open communication. But that communication starts again with
you got to lead by example.
You got to lead by example and create that safe space. I want to know that this is a safe space, that we're not just doing this for the sake of me, but we're doing this because there's somebody like me that you don't even have a clue that's dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. They're just doing it a little bit better, or they're in a certain time zone. They're walking their journey.
I want to get into some specifics around different types of outlets that can be placed within a workplace that go beyond just a one-on-one connection. But I do want to take a real quick segment break, and then we'll get back into this serious conversation. On ESPN, there's always a come on, man. You know, come on, man. So we did this for all of our HR and business professionals. What's that?
I said shout out to Chris Carter. He's
Chris Carter,
Ohio State Buckeye, Minnesota great.
Yeah, we got to tag him on this. So this is our come on, man for this week. All right. So this is anti-work on Reddit. So was called in for an all-staff meeting at 9 a.m., left after 20 minutes because manager didn't show up. Turns out it was a loyalty test. Today's meeting was intentional for me not to show. This is from the manager. My goal was to see who was going to step up to the plate and who was going to be my left and right-hand man. Man, I was told I can't do it all by myself, and I agreed. I apologize for those of you that are upset, and I apologize if I wasted your time with this. Clearly, this didn't work for some of you. If you didn't clock in, please message me on the side, and I'll adjust. If anyone wants to have a convo on the side, I'll be willingly available. So that's a come on, man. Next, I don't know if this is true or not, but here it is. This is a work. Yeah, so he's dipping his sushi in ranch. I've already contacted HR. Might call the local authorities. So that's our come on, man, for this week. It's pretty nasty.
So I got this friend. I got a friend down in Decatur, Alabama. His name is Bryce Covington. Shout out to Bryce, good friend of mine. And we were we bonded very, very closely. We're still brothers right now. To this day, we talk a lot. And wherever we would go, this man, there's two things that he would do. It was disgusting, by the way, and he knows it. But yet he still does it. He would add blue cheese crumbles and ranch dressing. But ranch dressing made its way on almost everything. I would probably say 89% of his food.
89%?
89% of his food was brought to you by Ranch.
Hidden Valley.
Hidden Valley. Oh, he only messes with the best. He only messes with the Hidden Valley. But he would use ranch on everything, man. It's like, I've seen ketchup on eggs. I've never seen ranch on eggs.
Okay, here's the question for this week that we need to find. we need to do a poll. What is a food that you should not put ranch on besides sushi?
Besides sushi, you definitely don't. That's a crime against food.
Actually, I kind of want to know if there's some weird kind of combinations of food that I might not be aware of, you know, like the peanut butter on a hamburger.
You know, that's the egg, the peanut butter, avocado on a burger. There's a lot of strange things
there was a place here that used to do peanut butter and jalapenos on a cheeseburger.
Did you try it?
Oh, I smashed it.
There you go.
It took 3 years off my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally worth it.
Oh,
every
man.
bite.
I just stay in that pocket. I've branched out over the last 2 or 3 years. So like the last couple of years, I'm a rookie still in the sushi game.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I want to. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not gonna dip sushi in ranch, are you? Okay.
When I go home, maybe not ranch. Hot sauce.
I would dip in a hot sauce for sure. I mean, you already.
I like the wasabi.
You have components.
Yeah, you have components anyway. So yeah, no, never mind. Ranch on sushi is.
Call HR if you see anybody at work dipping their sushi in ranch. Call HR immediately. That's an issue. That's a toxic culture right there for sure. So let's get back into this convo with the mental health conversation and raising awareness and being willing to say, how are you doing? And I really believe that that's where we start. We have to start by saying we need to lead by example. We need to show that mental health matters in our workplace. If we're not prioritizing it as in our executive team is not senior leadership, if they're not stepping into a place to say, this is what matters to us, not just this is what matters to the business, but this is what matters to me. Yeah, I think there could be a real great opportunity for a CEO or owner to have this conversation at an all company kind of huddle, or, to be able to say, this is, again, if it hasn't been discussed for a while in the workplace, to make sure that there's new communication that goes out on a regular basis, once a quarter, being able to say, hey, we want to make everyone aware that these are the outlets that are available. There's organizations that can help coach individuals one-on-one. I know we do some of that, but it's not mostly around the mental health area. But in terms of the outlet for coaching and for therapy and for someone within your team to be able to reach out to someone at a third party organization where it can be anonymous, right? I know we have that set up here through Round Room. There's signage in bathrooms, there's signage in break rooms, there's messaging that goes out on a regular basis that just indicates this is what the outlets are. Some of those, again, need to be one-on-one, face-to-face. But I love the opportunity that we have as leaders to set the example toward this. And, the reason that you, George, share things with me that are personal, even though we have a professional relationship, is because we have a personal relationship. And that matters. And it matters for areas of our team members that are struggling, that are dealing with stress and depression and anxiety and burnout. Burnout is so big right now. Talk about a topic that is a constant topic all the time, but now I know that people are facing this more and more, is hitting this level of burnout. I'm dealing with it within the healthcare industry specifically. There's a lot of burnout there. Teachers, a lot of the service.
A lot of the
frontline. There's a ton of burnout there, and that burnout at work causes an amplification of all the other stressors and anxiety and depression and everything else going on. And I think it's really important for us as leaders to set the example. But as you're creating a vision for how are we as a business going to address these things, I think it's important to invite our team members to be a part of that planning. Like it doesn't have to be where it's just the executive team up here saying, this is what we're going to offer.
Right.
Why don't we talk to our employees? Why don't we give them an opportunity to provide feedback and say, this is what would be really helpful.
Right.
I think that's a really good opportunity to have some brainstorming sessions and some discussion and dialogue and observation, talking, get some feedback, right? Get together with those groups or with a smaller group of diverse leadership layers within the organization, those that are, senior leaders all the way throughout the organization, really listening to those frontline workers to ensure that you're getting the right type of feedback and you're giving the right kind of support that your organization needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So and I'll just share just these four, and this is data from Lighthouse Research and Advisory that we found just this year. When we talked about well-being and we reached out to employees, over 1,000 employees, and so what are some areas that you believe you need support from your employer? What are those areas? And so the 4 areas employees wish their employer would offer more support was physical well-being, mental health, financial well-being, right? They want to understand, they want to be educated. And then that parental and caregiving support. Like, how do we do this for those who were remote that was used to a lifestyle? And so while employers are looking for ways to support their employees, knowing where to start is just as important, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what your people are looking for. These are the top 4 areas that employees are saying, listen, if my employer can support me and my well-being, that's impacting me as an individual, mental health, support, right? Financial well-being, physical, what does it look like? Right. And these help educate me, because as a business, I see we're growing, but I'm still living check to check. I'm doing something wrong. I would love to be educated on what I can do right. Right. And so those are some areas that when we talk about where to start, how do we bring awareness that's going to help impact this?
So let's say those together. Financial well-being, right?
Health, physical, and then mental health, and then that parental caregiver support.
Especially to your point, as there's more of a remote work.
Right. Right. And so bringing these things in, Ryan, and as you said, it shouldn't, when it comes to anything, and this is just my personal belief from an entrepreneur mindset and just a human, I've been at the table as the leader and I've been at the table as an employee. And what I found best in companies that do it right and do it best, they involve all stakeholders. When it's going to be something that's going to impact everybody, you got to have somebody representing everybody at the table, right? It's the same that we talk about on everything else. You talk about DEI. I don't want to see a table full of white people telling me about DEI.
Right.
You got to have somebody join that table that understands from a different perspective that will help bring knowledge, right? You got to have a seat at the table. The same with mental health. You got to be able to have people when you're coming and creating a policy. And I think all companies at this point should be looking at creating policies that are dealing with the well-being and prioritizing this. And it goes back to what I said at first, educating and setting in a culture of communication, like that openness there, and really promote that self-care as part of our policy. This is part of what we do. We have it here in our building, and really address the stigma around mental health and the fears and the unknowns, right? I don't want to talk about it because if I talk about it, what does that do to my job? Right?
When things
Get rid of those things and really providing the proper resources with that policy, and then training your managers, your supervisors, your leaders, and even making that training available to your employees. How do I deal with a friend and an employee, a coworker that is struggling? What can I do for them? Is there anything I can do for them? And getting that experience to be able to help. And as you said, finding people, we can talk about that. We talk about it while we're coaching, but we're not the gurus of mental health, right? And so what do? We partner and collaborate with other mental health organizations that really focus on that aspect of the coaching.
Setting the example as a leader and having that open communication, ensuring that you're building a healthier work environment where people can not only come to work and enjoy what they do, but also recognize that, listen, we're asking people to come to work and put a lot of effort and time into their daily job. And along with that, I think what we have to recognize is that 8 hours of a person's day or more is spent at work, right? Doing work and work-related activities. Within that 8 hours, there's a unique opportunity for us to position our businesses as a vehicle of support. Business can be a force for good. And we say that usually when we say it, that we think about it in terms of community good. And within Culture of Good, great sponsor to this podcast, we always talk about the community good. But business as a force for good can also be a force for good for our team members. And the way that business can be a force for good internally is to raise awareness for mental health issues within the workplace, to position the leadership team in a place where there's open communication and dialogue and experiences and outlets. And then again, go from caring about people to caring for them.
Yeah.
Get very practical with it. Empower the leaders to have those conversations with team members. Those team members that aren't willing to have those conversations, will open up more and more as we as a leadership team will get more vulnerable, and we trust those leaders. But along with that, then if they're not willing to have that conversation, create those outlets that people can reach out to a third party or reach out to a therapist or anonymous call line to be able to get the counseling or whatever help that they need. And it can be financial, right? Financial well-being does impact mental health.
It does.
Right. Physical well-being impacts mental health. Right. So those aspects of it, and also the parental and the caregiving piece, as people are home and they have kids at home and they're trying to do work, and now they, it's just a whole chaotic reality for a lot of people. How are we supporting our team members in that space as well? I think at the end of the day, what we want to do is ensure that each one of our team members knows that we care about them.
Yeah. That word is important.
Yeah. Care.
Yeah. You got to care for people. It's that, what is the famous quote that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
It's that empathy and compassion, because whether you've been there or not personally, right? Not saying that everybody struggled with mental health, but if you've been there, then if you've never been there, then you should show that compassion for those, because what people who do struggle with mental health don't need, we can talk about what is it that they don't need. They don't need any judgment.
Yeah.
Right. They've already judged themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They're already fighting that battle mentally. And so that support and just showing up, we talk about those two words a lot, but just continue to show up for them.
Yeah.
Because it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but when that opportunity opens where they feel vulnerable enough because they see how much you care, you're always there. If that door does open, you want to be there.
And I think too, also, they need to also see not only how much you care for them, but how much you care for yourself.
Yeah.
Like when as a leader, I remember when I first found out one of my mentors got therapy, and I thought this mentor had all their stuff together, like this person has their shit together. Yeah. And then they opened up about getting therapy, changed the whole idea of therapy for me. Right. So the way we unstigmatize something is we normalize it. The reason that there's a stigma around something is because it's not normalized. We have to normalize this conversation. We have to have open communication around it. And we have to have answers when people need support. Yeah. Whatever that is. And so we just want to encourage everyone in this first week to say this month, no greater opportunity for you, whether you're in HR, whether you lead a team, whether you are a frontline employee, you have the opportunity in this month to start a conversation to say, hey, what are we doing for this month of May? And what do we do after May, June, July, August, right? What's going to happen post May?
Right.
Because post this month, there's still the reality of mental health issues and what people are going through. And that's the biggest thing. So as we work with our team members, whatever they're going through, we want to make sure that they're not going through it alone, that they're going through it with us. So just want to, that's it, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And as Ryan said, we're so grateful for the opportunity again for everybody that's watching or listening to us live here on Champion Your Culture podcast, sponsored by Culture of Good. That could be a tongue twister, man. You see how it is like, I got my book in the back of my mind, so I'm like, all right, this is culture, not corporate. So you got to do it right. But I think Ryan, I think at the end of the day, on everything, I feel like we touch a lot of topics, and some of them are considered the untouchables.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the consistency that we want to really provide the message is that caring for others caring for yourself,
Mhm.
showing up for others, and showing up for yourselves is so important. And what it does, how it impacts so much.
It makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference
Yeah.
when you do those things. But as always, make sure before you do for others, you got to first do for yourself.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about mental health. And you already said it, Ron, is that you got to make sure that you're caring for yourself, that you're loving yourself. With somebody who is struggling with mental health, they don't want anybody that doesn't take care of themselves try to help them.
Right.
What are you going to do for me? You don't even care for yourself, and they're perceived to say, "Hey, we're in the same boat here."
If I want someone to teach me how to fight, I want to make sure I see their scars.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like I want somebody who's been in the battle.
Yeah, and so as we continue this conversation, we bring awareness to this. If you're out there today and you are struggling with mental health and the well-being of yourself, there's outlooks and places, websites. We'll put some of those up in our chats
and reach out to us.
And reach out to us. If you just need an ear or you need to hear a voice, Ryan and I are always here. You can find us and reach out to us on any of the platforms on our website, culturegood.com, to learn more as well. But we're here. We'll show up for you if nobody else is on this matter.
Yep. So awesome. Yeah, we're going to kick this every single week. So if mental health matters to you, matters to your organization, or maybe you're just looking for ways to raise awareness, implement some new strategies, we'll be getting into more tactical strategies as we go throughout these weeks. So this week, obviously, all about raising awareness. Great start to the month to be able to do so. A lot of messaging out there, a lot of things that you can share around the topic. And so we want to encourage you, leaders, set the example, care for you, care for your team. Then everyone will care for the business. And collectively as a community, we'll continue to grow, progress, and make an impact together with ourselves, for ourselves, and also for the world. So thank you again for joining with us this week, and we're excited that you will join us back again next week, because we're live every single Wednesday. Sponsored by Culture of Good, and we are here every single week. So we'd love for you to join us live on Wednesdays or listen anywhere you get podcasts. You good?
I'm good. You good?
I'm good. We'll see you back next week on Champion Your Culture.